All right, what's going on, guys? I am actually at my folks' house right now, so I have a little music stand set up holding my phone, and I'm kind of trying to makeshift this thing. I know I'm 2 days late on this episode of Dispersing the Cloud. We are in episode 12, so I'm 12 weeks in to reading a book a week. We are coming to the end of the first quarter, the end of first 3 months of doing this, and I should hit 25 books before the end of this month. So I'm super pumped about that. Let me just give you a recap of the week. We finished up recording Saturday night. I know I did, I think, episode 11 in the studio, which was kind of cool. We have most of the tracks done for the album that's going to be released about mid-April. Print competition. So print completion. Competition, I spelled something wrong. Print completion for Josh and the Sock Army happens on the 31st, so happens on Friday of this coming week, which means that we're going to have books very, very soon for Josh and the Sock Army. We're literally like 2 weeks out from that, an order of 5,000 books, which is kind of overwhelming because it's going to be hard to move that much product in a very short period of time, but I'm excited for it. So we finalized all the dates for that this week. We had a wedding yesterday. I had a wedding yesterday. That was part of my week. And then one of the things that I told you guys that I was going to announce, another business that I'm launching. I officially launched a wedding planning business. And as soon as we get our fictitious name out of the way, I will direct you guys towards that website and you can check it out. But you know that weddings is a big part of what I do to make money throughout the year. I do about anywhere from 10 to 15 weddings a year, which really allows me to do the other stuff that I love to do. It provides enough income for me. So I'm hoping that this wedding planning business will provide more income for me as far as singing at weddings, you know. Part of my process, one of the first things that I did was I had a huge tax mess up. Some of you know that I have my master's in social media marketing and sports management. And part of that is learning business. It's kind of like a little bit of an MBA with just an emphasis in sport and emphasis in social media marketing. I didn't file my taxes. They're not filed yet. I didn't organize my taxes correctly. And when my tax lady told me, I immediately, she said, there's a problem with your taxes. I immediately knew what the problem was. I didn't separate my two businesses like an idiot. Someone with a master's degree in management for business should probably know that. But I've just been so overwhelmed with stuff. I need to get a little more organized. But now that I have an intern, it's going to become a lot easier. One of the other things, part of my process, was I talked to one of my buddies, Anthony Meza. I went to college with him. I roomed with him for one of the summers, actually, of college. And he's doing a book read as well. He's trying to do, I believe he's trying to do a book a month, which is still, if you're not a reader, it's a tall order for you guys to be doing. And he's not doing Audible. He's actually physically spending a couple hours a day and reading the books that he's going over. He just finished Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. I believe that's the book he just finished. And what I found interesting was he told me some of the same things that I realized about 3 or 4 weeks in, probably maybe 6 for me. He said he realized that his brain just feels awake. He feels on top of his day. He feels like he can have conversations with people, and he catches himself using vocabulary words that people around him aren't using, and even catching weird looks from other people when you say things. One of my words was advantageous. I was using advantageous a lot, and I was getting weird looks because it's just a word I liked. I heard, and I was like, man, I love that word. I can use it so much more than I'm using it now. Cyclical was another one that I threw into my vocabulary, and I started using that, and you catch weird looks when you use those in everyday talk, and that's kind of cool. So I thought that was pretty neat that Maze is going through the same thing. Obviously, time management is still a crisis for me, still a problem for me, because I have so many different projects going on, and I don't have a set work schedule. I'm making my own schedule. That's really, really difficult for me to still get, but I'm using some of the tools from the last book that I read, 4-Hour Work Week, I'm using some of those tools to help me manage my time a little bit better. And that's one of the main things for reading these books. Like, it's great if you read a bunch of books, but if you can't implement great things from those books to make your life a little better, reading a lot of books is very advantageous for making your life productive. And it can't be productive if you don't implement those things. Another thing is working out. I have finally made time for myself to work out. I am climbing Mount Shasta very quickly here, May 1st, and I needed to start working out my legs. So one of the guys who goes to our church, Brad, has a personal training business, and I teamed up with him to kind of get on top of my regiment here and try to make some stuff happen. I am going to do my best too as I do these things. I'm going to do my best to read your guys' comments, and I just noticed that our intern for Fragoza Media is on right now. Chalice, what's going on? And so as you guys watch, I'm going to do a better job of answering questions and getting the comments, because I haven't done a great job of that in the past. It's kind of tough for me to multitask. Chalice, I got to get you over here during these podcasts. You could do the question and answer parts for me. So working out, and then one of the other things that I implemented recently from 4-Hour Work Week was eye contact. Timothy Ferriss talks a lot about how people are really outside their comfort zones just in the world. And he challenges the readers to physically make eye contact with people until they are uncomfortable enough to break eye contact with you. So to never be the first one to break eye contact. Now, obviously, this cannot be great if you make eye contact with a dude who's an alpha male, because he will literally stare you down and he'll be like, "What's the problem, dude?" Timothy actually brings that up in the book. He says, if that happens, just be like, "Oh, sorry, you look like somebody I knew. I thought it was him, and my bad." So that's been kind of fun, and it definitely does. It's fun, and two, it gives you a lot more confidence. When I was competing full-time, wrestling, and when I was really into training mixed martial arts, like on a daily, I noticed an extreme amount of confidence in that area, just making eye contact with people and being okay with that, just a confidence about yourself. And it's a good practice for anybody who's not competing. This week's book, we're going to jump into it, was Shop Class for Soulcraft. One of my favorite authors, oh God, I can't even think, John Eldredge. Cloud had me. John Eldredge, he's a Christian self-help kind of author, and he talks about this book in his book, Killing Lions. He recommended it, so I finally got around to reading it. Total opposite of last week. Total opposite of Timothy Ferriss. Just a recap of the 4-Hour Work Week. 4-Hour Work Week is about taking your work, outsourcing it, so you have free time to kind of do whatever you want, to learn Spanish, to learn how to ballroom dance, to learn some jiu-jitsu, to learn kickboxing, to learn piano, to take singing lessons, to just kind of be a jack of all trades. Just kind of sample everything and just enjoy your life. This book talks about the science of work and why it is very important for us as humans to work, and not only work, but really enjoy our work. The most interesting story in this particular book was about Henry Ford and the invention of the assembly line. So, for those of you who don't know, Henry Ford, creator of Ford Motor Company, he's the one who invented the assembly line, and he essentially put all other car manufacturers out of business. And the most interesting part about this was when he first created the assembly line, they couldn't get people to work it. He said they actually would hire about 900 people, and about 100 of those people would stick with the job. Only 100 out of 900. And their turnover was crazy because they were taking mechanics and taking people who could build an entire car, and they were saying, well, I just want you to take this bolt and I just want you to put it here on the wheel, and then it goes to the next person. You're just going to be the bolt guy. Well, the people rejected it. They didn't want anything to do with it. And so what was crazy was they actually doubled the pay. They doubled the pay for the people who were working on the assembly line, and that's the only way that people would actually do it. Henry Ford goes back and he says that was the best financial decision they ever made, because they essentially, once they got the assembly line running, is they put everybody else out of business, because everybody else was putting out 1 car a week. They were putting out 10, 12, 15 cars a week. So that was just crazy to me, that your work not only needs to be paying you well, it needs to be spiritually fulfilling. Because if it's not, literally, we as people, I mean, now we just look at assembly lines and we're like, yeah, I'm going to flip a burger. Here, I'm the burger guy, right? But you're not a cook. You're just the burger guy, right? You're the microwave guy, or you're the fry guy, right? But you're not a chef. Now, a chef gets great joy from his or her work. But the assembly line guy, it's not the same thing. This really, they're two different coexisting ideas, and I probably lean more towards shop class, because you get so much more fulfillment out of that, especially as someone who likes to create with their hands. The book talks a lot about our school systems and how they're not set up for people like me, people who work with their hands, people who are creative. We judge students by how well you sit still and take Scantron tests. And it doesn't really create innovators. It just creates workers. And so this book covered a lot of that. Also talks about learning your craft and learning from your craft. So he told a story of some mechanics that he brought his, I think the heads of his engine. I don't know much about cars, so I'm going to regurgitate some stuff that's not like right on point, but you'll get the gist of it. He brought in the heads to his car, and they looked right at it. They said, "What's the problem?" He told them a gist of what the problem was, and without looking at the heads, they said, "Oh, it's this." And so he kind of, I mean, being a mechanic himself, he was kind of like, I don't think it's that. But, I mean, these guys, they work at, well, Pet Boys or wherever it is, right? He said, and the kids, right, the young guys, who were like 18, 19, they took the engine back. They worked on it for 2 weeks. They brought it back worse than it was. Because what they were doing is they were following the manuscript of this is what's wrong with it. So he eventually took his problem to someone who had been working on, I think it was not Harleys, but old like Indian choppers, right? Old motorcycles. And he took someone who'd been working on it for years and years and years and years and years, just like an old soul in the motorcycle game, I guess you would say. And he looked at it and he said, you know, most people would say this, but I can tell by looking at it that it's not that. Let's mess with it for a little while. And he took his expertise and he reverse engineered it to find out what the problem was. So learning from your craft, some things you can't put into a manual, and you can't outsource some things. Some things only come with experience and really working in on your craft. And Timothy Ferriss would say the opposite on some of this stuff. He would say, for your craft, create a manual so somebody else can do it. That way you can go live your life and enjoy and be fulfilled. What the author of this book, Matthew Crawford, would say is the only way that you're going to fulfill your life and feel enjoyment is to have a craft and to learn from your craft. They also talk about woodworking and how when you're working with wood, every piece of wood is different. And the wood actually tells you where to go, what shape it can take. And the knots in the wood are unique to each individual piece. Extremely intriguing. I feel like turning into Ron Swanson and making my own wood shop and building furniture. I don't know how to build furniture, but I feel like it would be fulfilling. I'm going to take this firewood and make some furniture. But all in all, this book was definitely a 4. I would say I'm not going to give it 4.5 because they didn't tell... Matthew Crawford didn't tell enough stories. It was a lot of statistics and a lot of facts and a lot of research, but not a lot of stories that grabbed you. The Henry Ford story really, really grabbed me. Obviously, the story about him coming into the shop, that grabbed me, and the wood telling you where to go. Those things really grab me and allow me to pull out of the book things that I can put into my life and then regurgitate. So I wish it would have had more of that, but still a really great read for anybody who is an entrepreneur or just likes interesting stuff. Next book, we are going to do Good to Great by Jim Collins. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've been meaning to read it for a really long time. It's been on my wish list for almost like 4 or 5 months. And I'm going to knock that out. It's a 10-hour read, and I haven't started yet. This is a huge week for me coming up, so I'm probably only going to do that book. But I want to be able to knock out 25 books per quarter, and I think I'm right on the edge right now. I think this might be 24 or 25. I gotta recount. But the following week, I'm really going to start ramping it up with 2 or 3 books a week. That way I can play catch up. Coming up this week for me, I have, I can already tell you this isn't going to happen. I have a deadline of getting the website up for our wedding planning business. That ain't going to happen. I'm still going to attempt to do it, but with everything that's going on right now, probably not. I have workout session number 2 with Brad and over at Ironclad Fitness in, I think we're in Folsom? No. Roseville. We're in Roseville. And that will be my 5th workout. I'm still doing intermittent fasting. And so I'm trying to really speed up fat breakdown as well as build my legs for this trek up Mount Shasta. What else we got? We are going to refilm the video for the tour because we picked up another partner, which is AIM, the nonprofit that fights against sex trafficking. So we got to reshoot that. We are going to do another recording session on Friday. We're doing backup harmonies. We're kind of retweaking some of the songs, finalizing all the stuff that we got to knock out as far as studio time goes. Might even hit up wrestling practice on Thursday. I haven't been out to Team Alpha Male's practice for almost maybe 3 months. I just haven't been in shape enough to go out there and get my butt kicked. So I think I'm getting close, if not this week, next week. And then I got another wedding. I did a wedding yesterday. I got another wedding this weekend. Wedding season is here. It's about ready to consume me. Probably every other weekend from here on out will be a wedding, if not every weekend. I'm going to leave you guys with this words of inspiration from the book Shop Class as Soulcraft, the one we just did. Creativity is a byproduct of mastery. Once you've mastered your skill, you are able to become creative in it. And it is until that point that you have mastered the skill that you have the pure freedom to become creative. Before I sign off, let me do a real quick check to make sure that I hadn't missed any comments. I didn't miss any comments. I'll talk to you guys soon. I will make sure to do the next one on Friday. We're recording Friday. I probably won't get to it. I'm laughing because I got another wedding Saturday. I'm going to try to do it Friday. If I don't do it Friday, it will end up being Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon like this again. I apologize I'm late, but I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to post comments of books I should read. Talk to you soon.